Namaste and good morning to all of you. Let's do our prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhubhava Swaha, Tatsavitra Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Prachodayat. Asto ma satgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityorma amritam gamya. Om sahna bhavatu, sahna bhunaktu, saviryam karvavahi, tejasvi naavadvittopaarjana, ma viddhi. Om shanti shanti shanti. We started this beautiful scripture, Bhaja Govindam, a couple of weeks ago. And we started looking at the meaning of the verse number 3. So this verse goes like, naariistanabhara naabhiideshaM, dRishhTvaa maagaamohaavesham, etanmaaMsaavasaadi vikaaraM manasi, vichintaya vaaraM. So we talked about how us human beings get fascinated with the lust and with the wealth. All our life, we just keep on running towards these two. We want to have more and we want to enjoy more. So that's why rishis, they called it kanchan and kamini. All our life. So over here, he's making the statement of a man's natural attraction to women. But we got to understand that women are equally naturally attracted to men also. So it's a lust for anybody. In both the cases, the sorrow alone is the ultimate destination, where they reach hand in hand. Seekers in their early days of practice, they find it rather difficult to stay away from these, because it is against the very nature of their flesh. Because we have learned to fulfill our desires through the senses. So the senses, they run after the sense objects. But then we have to use our intellect. See, that's where the sadhana comes into the practice. It is the intellect that always get vision of the higher possibilities. And for the attainment of these visions with the help of a trained mind, the intellect comes to curb the passionate flow of the flesh. And the entire personality move towards the channels of spiritual upliftment. So buddhi. Because otherwise, if we just leave it up to the senses, they will draw our attention outwardly. And wherever senses go, mind goes. But the intellect, infused with this knowledge, retracts the senses back. And as the time passes, there is a divine unfoldment within. And this technique of reversing the process of instinct to flow in the direction of rational contemplation is called, according to Rishi Patanjali, pratipaksha bhavana. That is a technical term we learn over there. So this is like an advice given by the saints to us, the yogis to us, pratipaksha bhavana. So we need to think about it. If I keep on running after the senses, can senses give me ultimate pleasure, the bliss, the joy? And if we intelligently think about it, we know they can't. And where is that ultimate bliss? It's in my divinity. And then you retract. So through the practice of this Pratipaksha Bhavana, we can re-educate our mind. We don't have to run away from this world. We can live in this world among the objects also, but not keep on running mentally towards them. That's what Shankaracharya is saying over here. So, because these are the two very powerful fascinations, thirst for the wealth and the instinctive hunger for flesh, which is lust. That's why he used these two. When these two are eliminated from a personality, there's no more jerking around in the outer field of enchantment. And that's when the sadhana, the serious sadhana starts. We have lived millions of lives. Countless times we have come in any kind of a body, and we have left. Sometimes in the lower realm, sometimes in the higher realm, according to our own prarabdha. And we have gathered powerful instincts of self-preservation, even preservation of our race. We have done that. But now as a human being, we got to spend some time to know ourselves. And that's why he used the word vaaraM. That really means repeated. In order to achieve this, we have to practice. It's not just doing one time, because these instincts are very strong. So the practice is unavoidable. Sadhana we must do. In Vivek Chudamani also, he said, dRishhTvaa muhu. That's a verse number 22. You all have a Vivek Chudamani book also. Because these objects of the world, they exist. They play their pranks on us. But do we ever see them as they are? Do we really see as they are? So somebody is asking what verse number. This is verse number 3. Verse number 3. So we got to learn how to see the world as it is. We just look at the world through the mirror of our mind. We got to just see it as it is. So that's kind of a close observation we need. We need to inquire it diligently. We got to have some scientific analysis about it. We got to remove this unnatural color, this fascination for these objects, the wealth, the physical wealth. So money and women, okay, or wealth and the lust. They are not themselves a threat to us. It's only our false imagination. We give a ridiculously inflated value to these. And we forget our own real purpose also and the real nature also. We waste our powers. We just live in hallucination. Okay, so relationships are important, but they are not the ultimate reason why we are here. The relationships we have because we have some kind of a karmic relationship with them. Our real purpose of life is to know ourselves. We should never forget that. So real purpose of life is not to just keep on accumulating wealth. The physical wealth also just to live this life, pay our bills, to feed our body, to have a shelter. That is the real reason, okay, for all of this. But the ultimate purpose is that we got to know ourselves. So that's why he's just keep telling us in these verses. Okay, so let me read this the meaning again to you if you have any question. So he says, seeing the full bosom of young maidens. So this is from a man's point of view, because man is the one who's saying it, and he had all his disciples, men at that time with him, and their navel do not fall prey to maddening delusion. This is but a modification of flesh and fat. Think well in your mind again and again, vaaraM, again and again. Think about it. Okay. So let's move on to the next verse today. Verse number 4. naliniidalagata jalam atitaralam tadvajjiivitamatishayachapalam viddhi vyaadhyabhimaanagrastaM lokaM shokahataM samastam. naliniidalagata jalam. The water, see, jal means water. Naliniidal, that is a lotus petal. Okay, so the water drop playing on a lotus petal. So naliniidalagata jalam. Gat means moving. So how the drop of water moves on the petals of a lotus. Ati means extremely. Taralam, uncertain. So that's like an existence. Tadvat, so. Jeevitam, life. Atishay, ever. Like a greatly. Chapalam, unstable. Viddhi, understand. VyaadhyabhimaanagrastaM, consumed by disease. Vyadhi means disease of abhiman, conceit, arrogance, ego. Consumed by the disease. He's calling this abhiman as a, or a ego as a deceit, as a disease. LokaM, the world. Shok, the pangs, the sorrow. Hatam, riddled. Cha means and, samastam, whole, complete. The water drop moving on a lotus petal has an extremely uncertain existence. Right? It can slip out. It cannot stay there. It's so slippery. So also is life ever unstable. Understand this world as is consumed by disease and conceit, and is riddled with the pangs. LokaM shokahataM samastam. Govindam. Govindam. So he is painting a picture for us, our own life, how unstable it is. And we are just running after only these unstable things, where our own life is not very stable. So in the previous two verses, he tried to help us to see it correctly. What is the place of money and what is the place of a relationship, lusty relationships in our life? But in this verse over here, he's helping us to realize how temporary and painful, riddled with painful imperfections, or how uncertain the existence of embodied is. Okay, it's just bringing the reality into our mind. We all know, I mean, we have seen it now in the last year and a half with this COVID, how quickly the things can change. How quickly. So life is so uncertain. It's just like a minute particle of water trembling at the tip of a lotus petal. That's how the life is. So life itself is uncertain, but it's also consumed by disease and conceit. There's two more things he added in there. We never know what kind of a disease is growing inside our body. By the time it really appears outside, it has already taken roots. It takes so long to even diagnose. And if it's diagnosed, can it be taken care of? We don't know. And that's how the disease of arrogance is too. That's also a disease. Okay, Abhiman. We are here to know ourselves. We have forgotten that purpose of life. All we do is know with the temporary, which doesn't have much existence. Can be taken from us any time, any minute, without any notice, whether it's a beautiful body or whether it's whatever we have accumulated. Okay, that's all conceit. Hundreds of different voiceless banks. So in the first half of this verse, he's painting the mortality of individual existence. And in the second half, he is telling us the pain-ridden nature of the world itself. This is a very typical way how Pratipaksh Bhavana can be used. Like this is how it is. This is the reality. I want to move towards the reality now. Pratipaksh Bhavana. Because without having these examples, our mind doesn't like to go into the reality. If somebody tells me, yeah, there's a poison in there, Pratipaksh Bhavana, I say, no, I don't want it. I want something which is good for me. And since this life is so uncertain, and this world is full of sorrow, misery, so he is telling us that there is no time for anyone to waste. Do not wait. Do not think that I will just start my sadhana tomorrow. Death or disease rarely announce their visit. It can happen anytime, unannounced. Unannounced. So strive from right now and here. That is, these terms are used to show us the urgency behind this stanza. Now and here. Buddha said the same thing. Similar sense of urgency. He said, Sarva dukham sarvam kshanikam kshanikam. He said, all is misery. Misery. All is momentary. Momentary. If we think that I'm finding pleasure in it, it's momentary. Kshan bhar. Don't we hear that kshan bhar ka sukh? And we just keep on running towards that kshan bhar ka sukh, momentary pleasure. People destroy their beautiful families for this momentary pleasure sometimes. So that's what these great saints are telling us. And this example over here, The drop of water on the petal of lotus shows us the extreme uncertainty of life. So like an analogy, this is called the analogy of a drop of water trembling from the tip of a lotus petal. And it has a very deep Vedantic suggestion in there. The lotus grows in water, we all know, exists in water, is nurtured and nourished by the water. So that means the flower is nothing but an expression of the water. Because it came out of it, lives because of it. That's how we are. Part of that infinite, Brahma, one without a second, who expresses as a lotus. And this body of ours came out of this Brahma. And we have forgotten the Brahma part. We have diverted away from it. How many times we really think about that we are part of Brahma, we are part of God? How many times we really thank God? If the drop of water forgets that where I came from, that's what we have done. We have forgotten where we came from. Atma expressing through the lotus of the intellect is the unsteady, over-agitated individual jiva. When it leaves and transcends the intellect, comes back to merge with the waters of consciousness around. So return of this trembling drop back to the water of the lake is the culmination indicated here. It's because it's shaking, it will slip back and go back into water. And we're going to go back. That's why that Mahavakya, thou art. Do not forget that. We got to remember that, what we are in reality. Okay? Then he says, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Never forget that. Let's look at the next one. Yaavadvittopaarjana saktaH, tavatnij parivaaro raktaH, pashyat jar dehe, varta ko.api na prichhati gehe. Yavat, as long as. With, wealth. Uparjan, to earn. Sakt. Sakt means, see, normally sakt means attachment. Over here it really means has the ability. Tavat, so long. Nij parivara, your dependents, your parivar, your relationships. Raktaha, attached. Paschat, afterwards, later on. Jivati, lives. Jar means a weak, infirm. Dehe, body. Varta, word. Ko.api, anyone. Na means not. Prichhati, asks or speak. Gehe, at home. He says, as long as there is the ability to earn and save, so long are all your dependents attached to you. This is the reality of life. As long as there is the ability to earn and save, so long are your dependents attached to you. Later on, when you come to live with an old, infirm body, no one at home cares to speak even a word with you. Very direct, but this is the reality. So what he's saying that human being essentially is selfish. What are we getting from the other person? What can I get? A human being will not generally give without hopes of getting. Nothing for nothing. That is like a law that governs our nature. It's almost like a universal law. It's not any culture or any race. It's universal. So ultimate relations, which we call dear and near ones, which are, that's why he said the parivaaro, our close ones. Even over there, it is like that. Not just the friends, but the close ones also. So he didn't talk about the friends. He used the word nij parivaara, your own family members. Because this has been observed at all levels of relationships. Husband and wife, father and son, brother and sister. So in other words, all human relationships, if a person is capable of earning or serving or taking care, then we have a reverence for that. We have a respect for that. We have adoration for that person. Because we are hoping that something will get out of it. That's why there's a popular saying that money is respect. Or money can purchase anything. Which indeed is true. So that's why opposite of that, they say that a powerful man of yesterday becomes a powerless man of today. So if money can purchase happiness and relationships, absence of money can procure only sorrow and loneliness. So he said that capacity to earn and save with arjana shakti should be taken in its wider scope also. With doesn't mean only the money. Okay. With also means all kinds of power. In the society, there are several kinds of powers. Capacity of a scientist, politician, a teacher, a speaker, a manufacturer, an artist. All those are wits. So human life being what it is, faculties and capacities, they do wane after a while. Do wane. With the aging, physical body becomes weak. So this is he is keeping this fundamental point of truth. He says, think about it. As long as you are capable of earning and saving, then alone can people will respect you. When this capacity decay, when your body is weak, all the friends and the dependents will leave because you are not used to them. This is the sad story of this world. So it's like a natural tendency of human nature. So what should we do then? While our body is working, while we are still active in this world, we got to remember what the goal of our life is. Do not misunderstand that this goal of life is to earn money and to become popular. That's a misunderstanding. We got to earn inner peace, self-sufficiencies, tranquility, where we are totally independent of these outer things. So this verse again can be considered as a pratipaksh bhavana against the vanities of the life. That these vanities of the life, they'll go away. Those are just the means. Use these means to attain this ultimate tranquility, ultimate peace. That's what he's saying over here. Do not become the false victim of these. Turn yourself towards the devotion, towards the higher. That's why at the end he says, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. And this can be done only now and here. When you are young, when your faculties and mental efficiencies are at the prime. Right now we can see, we can hear, we can understand, we can walk, we can write. Use these faculties. These are the powers given to us. Use these here and now. Don't think that in the later on you'll do it. So this is advice to all of us. Sure, find success in the material world. Definitely strive and struggle and adventure in the outer world. Definitely earn, save, give according to your capacity. But remember, these are only the hobbies. They are not the ultimate goal. The real achievement of our life is to be gained in our own personal inner contemplation. So that way, even way before this world will reject you, they think that you are useless to us, whether it's a family or whether it's a society, whether they put us in a nursing home or whether they just put it in a corner somewhere. This is way before that. Contemplate on this. Because we normally think that it will not happen to us. It only happened to others. You reject the world. Reject the world means, that's why our rishis, what did they say? After certain age, sannyas. That's why that sannyas ashram is so important. You detach before they let you go, before they reject you. You just say that, yeah, this world is not mine anymore. I am contemplating on the reality. Retire into a richer world of serenity, contemplation, the intense self-engagement. That should become our the real job then. Sure, in earlier on, we worked 8, 10, 12 hours to take care of the family. Now 8, 10, 12, 15 hours just to know ourselves. That equation has to be changed. That's what he's telling us. This is not in a negative sense, it's in a very positive sense, he's telling us. So let me read it again so that you can understand. As long as there is the ability to earn and save, as long as save, so long are all your dependents attached to you. Later on, when you come to live with an old, infirm body, no one at home cares to speak even a word with you. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. To me, I think it's a very solid advice to us. But we have to bring it into our practice. Let's do one more, then we'll stop. Yavat pavnaha nivastihi dehe tavat prichatihi kushlam gehe gatvati vayo deh apaya bharya vibhatyabhyati tasmin kaya. Beautiful verse. Yavat, as long as pavnaha, that means a breath, the air or the life. Pavna. Nivasatihi, dwells. Dehe, in your body. Tavat, so long. Prichati, inquires. Kushlam, your welfare. Gehe, at home. Gatavati vayo, when the breath leaves. Deh apaya, when the body decays. Bharya, even your wife. Vibhyati, fears. Tasmin, that very kaya, body. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. As long as there dwells breath in the body, pran in the body, so long they inquire of your welfare at home. Once the breath leaves, the body decays. And we all know this is the reality. Even the wife fears that very same body. Why he's saying wife? Because close relationship, the closest relationship is the couple's relationship, where they enjoyed each other. But when the pran leaves, the other person is afraid of that dead body. So a sense of detachment from the blind attachment for the world and from the objects of this enjoyment, which we think is so necessary. He is trying to turn our mind away from it. He says, contemplate on this. Contemplate on this truly highest. Meditations on life should not make us feel that this life is lifeless or there's nothing here. Meditation on the life is sure, we live in this body. We got to take care of this body, but we are not the body. We are that which keeps this body alive. That is the real way of meditating. Not as a pessimistic person, but as an optimistic person. That this body has been given to us. It is it's a gem of a thing to have a human body. Through this body, physical body, subtle body, we can really contemplate on God or the divinity in me. So what he's trying to say that don't overindulge. Don't just have it overly extroverted life. So develop some kind of a healthy introvertedness also. So in different stages in life, sure, when we are younger, still at that time we need to think about who I am. Then later on, when we are a householder, yes, a little bit more. Then one prasthashram, even more than that, sannyas ashram completely. It should never be forgotten who we are. So these rishis, with a very ideal scientific detachment, they observed the life as it is. And very honest opinion they are painting in these verses over here. If a person spends an entire lifetime in sheer body worship, in earning more and more, and no time to really invest into knowing who they are, he says that kind of a person is a sinking down. Constantly we are worried about what I'm going to have, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to eat, the people I'm going to meet. That is like a spending the whole lifetime in a criminal waste of human abilities. So we have an ability to know ourselves, but we are wasting those human abilities into something which is so temporary. It's almost like if I just keep on collecting the paper products, just keeping them in my china cabinet. They are so temporary. We use it only once, we throw it away. But I just like to preserve them. This is what we do with this life, the human life. They say to live in the body, for the body, is the cult of demons, Rakshas. There is a technical term they use, Virochan cult. Virochan. Who was Virochan? If you know some history, was a king of the Rakshasa. Virochan was the grandson of Hiranyakashipu, son of Prahlad. Even though Prahlad was a great rishi, a yogi, but son of Prahlad was Virochan, father of Bali. According to the Chandogya Upanishad, if you have studied that Upanishad, there is a story that Virochan and Indra, they go to Prajapati to learn about the Atma. But what did Virochan learn? He learned that this body is the Atma. He just somehow could not learn the essence of it. He said to worship this body is the greatest of all religions. Even today, some people say that. We live only once. Just enjoy. That is a Virochan philosophy. But over here in this verse, Shankaracharya ji is telling us to contemplate on the highest. Reflect in the direction where you end your attachment with the body and its futile vanities. That's what he's telling us. The scriptures, they also talk about that animal body has some value when it is dead. But human body, once it's dead, it's only a nuisance. Right away, it's either burnt or buried or drowned. And what do? All our life, we fatten such bundle of filth. We spend so much time to earn the wealth, then we want to hoard it. And then we don't even mind putting others down who don't have as much as we do. Sometimes even the nearest and the dearest, we just don't respect them because they don't have enough and we think we have more. So he says, contemplate on the highest, meditate on the highest, develop a healthy regard for who you are, and detach from this temporary. Sure, body needs to be looked after. We got to take care of it, feed it, clean it, exercise it, clothe it, wash it. Just like we take care of other vehicles. This is just a vehicle. We need to learn how to use this, but don't identify with it. With a very firm and steady understanding, we got to remember that this is an instrument only. Instrument. It's not who we are. This will not remain forever. No matter what we feed this body, no matter how much we exercise it, it will not remain forever. Nor will it serve with equal efficiency for all times. It will perish, and it must perish. That is the law. And with this right knowledge, to live in the body is the healthiest life, where we will not experience sorrow, where we keeping a little distance, having a full awareness that this is what it is and what the end will be, keeping that in mind. Okay, so remember these verses. Sure, by themselves also there's a lot of message, but if we just read them continuously also, there's a beautiful message he's giving us. He says, as long as there dwells breath in the body, so long they inquire of your welfare at home. Once the breath leaves, the body decays. Even the wife fears that very same body. Okay, so it's not that we should stop loving people, but remember, their bodies also will do the same thing with them. The same thing will happen to us also. Okay, so it's not to develop a disgust with others. It is just to bringing our mind towards the ultimate reality of life. It's a temporary housing we have, and so is everybody else. Okay, and there is a Atma lives in there, which is part of Paramatma. So let's stop it here. Next week we'll start with the verse number 7. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Now I would request Poonam to recite these verses, starting with the either Poonam, you can start with the 3 or 4, whatever you feel comfortable with. But 5 and 6 definitely, because those are the one we did today. Okay, 4, 5, 6. So either 3, 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6.
I'll do 3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. Thank you. So everybody, please just meditatively try to absorb this knowledge in you while she's singing.
naariistanabhara naabhiidesha naariistanabhara naabhiideshaM dRishhTvaa maagaamohaavesham etanmaaMsaavasaadi vikaaraM etanmaaMsaavasaadi vikaaraM manasi vichintaya vaaraM manasi vichintaya vaaraM bhaj Govindam bhaj Govindam bhaj Govindam bhaj Govindam Govindam bhaj moodhamate नलनीदलगत जलमतितरलम नलनीदलगत जलमतितरलम तद्वावित्तमास्याचापलम तद्वाजीवतास्याचापलम विद्धि व्याधि अभिमानग्रस्तम विद्धि व्याधि अभिमानग्रस्तम लोकम शोकहताम च समस्तं लोकम शोकहताम च समस्तं भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते यावत 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 वित्तोपार्जन सकता staavannij parivaaro rakta yaavadvittopaarjana sakta staavannij parivaaro rakta पश्चाजीवति जर जर देहि पश्चाजीवति जर जर देहि वातम कोऽपि न पश्यति गेहि वातम कोऽपि न पश्यति गेहि भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते यावत् पवनो निवसति देहि यावत् पवनो निवसति देहि तावत् प्राशति कुशलम गेहि गतवति वायु देहापाये गतवति वायु देहापाये भार्याभिव्यति तस्मिन् काये भार्याभिव्यति तस्मिन् काये भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते थैंक यू
Beautiful. Beautiful.